everyone, welcome to ScrapbookPal's YouTube channel. It's Gina here with you today to share a card using My Favorite Things Sweet Safari stamp set. It's a really cute whimsical stamp set with a ton of animals, and I really thought that I would just create a little scene card. And I pulled out Hero Art's Infinity Circles with Gina K's Masking Magic so I can create a mask for a circular area on my A2 card panel. So I'm placing the negative onto the card panel, and I'm going to be blending a bunch of distress inks to create kind of a sunset background for the card. I am blending on Neenah Solar Crest 80-pound cardstock, and I do have difficulty blending on this cardstock. However, if you blend and you saturate the paper with the inks, you can really get a good blend with it. You just have to go back a couple of times. So if you're a beginner, I would suggest a Bristol Smooth cardstock because it is very smooth and easy to blend using distress inks on that paper because it has this waxy coating that just makes blending a lot easier. However, you can really achieve the same effects with Neenah Smooth paper as well. It just takes a little bit more elbow grease and a little bit more patience while blending. So I went with some colors that start with yellow to orange, pink, and then purple, and I thought that that makes a really pretty sky. It's like one of those cotton candy skies that I really like taking pictures of when they appear. So once I'm done with that and I'm happy with the blend, I'm just going to remove the masking magic, and you definitely can use that again if you wish to do so. So I'm stamping a bunch of the images using my Misty and Gina K's Amalgam black ink, and I will go ahead and get them die cut so I can go ahead and color. For my coloring, I will be using Copic markers, and for today's coloring, I am doing something a little bit different. If you watched my previous videos on this channel, usually I use about 3 colors and I'll blend out an entire area. I'll use the darkest color, then the mid-tone, and then blend the entire thing with my lightest color. However, today I decided that I wanted to be a little bit more whimsical with my coloring since these images are whimsical. So I'm actually going in with about 2 to 3 colors, which is the same as my regular coloring. However, I am leaving a large portion of the image in white. So for the clouds, I only used 2 colors. I kind of just created the dimension that I wanted and blended it out with the second color and leaving a large portion of the clouds white. For the sun, I'm doing the same thing, and I thought that this adds kind of a different look and feel to the coloring, and it doesn't take too much work because you're only blending out the lines where you place them. So I'm placing the darkest color where I think the shadows would go. Then I'm going to go in with my mid-tone color and add another line, and it kind of blends out that color as it fades out to the white. So for this tree, I am using a third green color and blending it out to the white, and I am leaving a good portion of the tree in white. So it adds that highlight effect, but you also don't have to work as hard to blend out the entire area, and I think it looks really cool. So this is the first time I've actually incorporated it into a card, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I think that it might be a new technique to use for coloring for me. And I think that it ended up looking really good. So I tended to pick a lot of lighter colors while doing this because it made the transition easier to go into the white. However, I think that I've seen other artists do this type of coloring and they are able to leave a large white space, and I think you just have to get comfortable and get used to it. Also, I find that even though my coloring might not look the best in person when I'm coloring, when you put it on the card and you finish the whole scene, if it looks cohesive, it looks really good. I had a bit of trouble with the giraffe when I was coloring it because I really wanted it to look blended, but when I went in and tried to blend it out, I thought that leaving the white areas made it look really interesting. So I'm just trying this out. Let me know what you think about how the coloring looks, but I think that it just looks a little different from my usual fully blended coloring, and I think that it also gives it something a little different to the entire card as a whole. For the draft, I'm doing the exact same thing where I'm just adding the darker tone, then going in with the next tone, and I actually end up using 4 colors for the rest of the draft just because I really wanted a light color to blend into white. And I think that as I get more comfortable with this coloring technique, I might be able to just stop at that third color, which is the Y08, instead of pulling out the Y02 just to blend it out a little bit more. So I think for me, it's a comfort level thing where I think it looks weird. I need a light color to blend it out to white, but I honestly do think that if I just left it as is, it would have looked fine. So I think that when we color, our harshest critic is ourselves. In the end, everything looked fine, and when I showed it to my sister, she didn't see anything different about it. She did notice the coloring did look a little different, and I kind of just want to try a bunch of new techniques in the new year, and so I'm sharing this coloring one with you. And because this stamp set is actually not something I typically go towards, but I thought that it was really cute. Like, I really liked that giraffe, and I just liked how the trees were drawn, so I really wanted to create a card using this. But I think that when you sit down and color, you're able to try different things because it is, after all, just paper. And if you mess up, you can always stamp out another image and color it again. So there's no harm in trying, and I know that there are a lot of different colorists out there, and they have different styles and different techniques, and I'm just sharing what I did for this card. So I hope you enjoyed that part. So I'm just finishing up with the last 2 animals of this little scene, and I really wanted a lot of different animals for the card just to fill up the space, because our focal point will be that circle that we created using the masking magic. So I placed everything out exactly how I envisioned it, and I'm going to go ahead and use honeybee precision glue to glue everything down. And I think that being able to work with die cuts is really nice because you can change your mind about things, you can move it around. I am a big fan of masking my images, but I really thought that in this case it would look really nice just to have everything die cut out and have that white border to really go with the white space that I have on the rest of the card. I am just going to glue everything down, and you can always change your mind. I also wanted the monkey to hang from the tree, and I thought that that was just really adorable. So I did that, and I knew that I wanted my sentiment to be at the very bottom, so the bear is kind of standing on top of the sentiment. So whenever I create a card, I always make sure that there's room for the sentiment before I place everything down, because if you don't, then you might have to go back and rearrange things, or you're gonna have to add an additional element to the card. I decided that I wanted to add a bit of interest because this card is mainly white. So I just pulled out a piece of washi that I had, and it just happens to be black and white, which I thought was the perfect accent to this card. And I'm adding it onto my card base, and then I trimmed down my A2 card panel by about 1/4 of an inch on the left-hand side, and that allows that washi to peek out. So I'm adding the honeybee precision glue to the back of the card panel and then gluing it directly to my card base. And that is it for today's card. So I hope you enjoyed it and all my little rambles about the coloring. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!